How's it going, guys? Casey Dunnigan here with Flysnties Fly Company. Today we're going to tie Dunnigan's Panty Dropper, PMD version. There's only one video out of this that a friend of mine had done, so I figured I'd actually do a tutorial of my fly here. So first off, we'll start. We have Montana Fly Company dark brown A-dot thread, and we're just going to tie in antenna off the front of this, and these are just microfib. It's brown. Okay, set these on top here. Just keep them right on top. All right, cut that off. Move back just a little bit and just whip finish that off. We're just going to slide the bead right up over top of the thread. Whip finish, cut, slide your bead. The hook is a Firehole Outdoors 316, size 16, and the bead is a 7/64 copper tungsten bead. I'm going to add a little bit of lead wire behind the bead here, not really so much for weight, but just to take up space when we wheel the body, because it's kind of a big bead for the hook, but it's designed that way. Just like 5 wraps is fine. Okay, and just push it up in there. This makes us finishing this fly off later a lot easier. Okay, I'm gonna reattach our thread here. Just build up a little ramp behind the lead. Alright, now we're going to attach our tail. And this is brown India hen. Pull off a little chunk of fibers. I don't know, I'd say maybe a dozen or so. I like to have a little bit more of a pronounced tail. Now I'm just going to set this on top, and I'm going to measure this out just by the hook gap. So I'm going to have about a hook gap of length of tail sticking over the back side of the hook. This being the back side where my finger is here. Okay, I'm just going to tie this in. I'm just going to run this down. Go down about a third of the way down the bend here. Come back up. Trim those off. And then we're going to attach our wire, which is our ribbing. This is UTC ultra wired silver. Okay, so we'll take that down right to the tails there, come back up a little bit, build a small taper with your thread here. Okay, now down here at the base, we're going to tie in a piece of stripped peacock quill, or peacock herl rather. Okay, you can buy the manufactured ones that have already been stripped off, but it's really easy to just strip one off. Not a big deal. One thing you might want to do is soak them in water a little bit before you use them. They're a little bit easier to wrap. This stuff gives the fly a really nice looking body. As probably most of you know. Okay, I wrapped that up about 2/3 of the way. So most of that is going to be covered up by the thorax up top anyhow. Alright, and then I'm just going to actually wrap over top of that with our ultra wire. I usually counter ribbit. Okay, I'm going to tie that off. And just spin that off. And you can come up here and trim your antenna too. About 1/4 of an inch sticking out. Antenna is completely optional, by the way. It's not necessary, but I'm just trying to show you the original pattern here. It is a fish destroyer. So next thing we're going to tie in is we have Ice Dub UV Light Yellow from Hairline. This stuff dubs very nicely. There's some ice dubbings that are not very friendly to dub, but this stuff dubs very nice. Just lick my fingers a little bit, put on a little bit of saliva on there, and this stuff spins on real nice. Now I want to make a nice thin dubbing noodle out of this because I want really precise wraps when I dub this thorax. Okay, looks good. Alright, that's about perfect. Tighten this up just a little bit. Now you're going to hang your thread right in the center of your little dubbing ball there. And then next we're going to come in with our tails, and this is barred copper brown sexy floss. Okay, so just set your tail up on there, or your legs rather. Make a wrap over top of it. Just flip your vise over. We're going to do the same exact thing on the other side. Okay. Manipulate your legs to the way you want. I usually try to put the curvature of the legs, the natural curve, kind of going in towards each other. Alright. I'm a little picky about my legs on these just because I want them to look good, but they don't have to be perfect. So that's about what I'm looking for. If you guys can see that, hopefully. And then you're going to have some exposed thread wraps in the center, so what I do here is just add a little bit more dubbing to your thread here, and we're just going to make one little wrap around and then just kind of sneak underneath the legs, on top or on the bottom, it doesn't really matter. So I kind of like to just spin my vise here like so, make sure I'm covered, and then just sneak in front of the legs here. Okay, leave your legs long at this point, we'll trim them off later. So next thing we got is our thin skin, or skinny skin Montana Fly Company makes, and this is mottled brown thin skin for our wing case. And I notched this out just kind of like the real notch that you would see in a maturing nymph ready to emerge. Okay, so we're going to lay this right on top. And I'll show you about the length that you're looking for. I'll spin the vise towards the camera here. Just get a good couple wraps on top. This has a tendency to spin, so you kind of want to maneuver it in your favor. And that's about the length that I'm looking for. The back side of the notch, or the inside of the notch I should say, where it V's in, is going to be about flush with the back side of your dubbing, okay? Okay, make a couple wraps behind and in front, and then clip off the excess. Now this is a part where you want to check to make sure your thread is built up about even with the bead, since we're going to lay our flash on top of the fly here. And the flash that we're going to use is Mirage Tinsel in opal color, and I actually notch it to kind of follow up the sides of the wing case itself. So you'll see in the picture at the end what I'm saying here. It's really hard to explain what I mean, but you're really just following the curvature of the wing case with your flash here. Curvature and profile. Okay. So if you can see that, I'm kind of following the notch, and I have it cut on about a 45 degrees, so it actually has the same cut angle as the wing case. And I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side. Pre-cutting these makes your life much easier. This is where I really appreciate the bone dry resin from Solres. If you got something sticking up that's being stubborn, just put a little dab on there. Take your finger and just kind of hold that flash down where you need it. And just hit it with your light, and you got no more stubborn fibers sticking up on you. Okay. Now we can just trim this off, your excess flash here. Alright, now we're ready to whip finish that off. Two is good, it's fine. You can even do one if you like, just because we're gonna put a nice coat of Solres thick right over top of this wing case. It's going to look really nice. Okay. So when you coat this, make sure you're covering up your thread wraps and bring that stuff right onto the bead as well. I mean, this stuff, in my opinion, is better than epoxy. The original version I used epoxy on and the wing case would fall off, and I haven't had any issues with that with using UV resin. This stuff's pretty bomb proof, so it's really, really nice, and I really like to use it. Okay, and that's good. And then we can come in here and trim our legs, and we'll be done here. I like to make the legs about as long as the body. I know that's a little bit long, but I just really like to have that stick out from the naturals. And that is my signature pattern, Dunnigan's panty dropper PMD, available through Montana Fly Company, and I tie these as well, and they're on my website. Most of the materials are available on my website. I'm actually still waiting for some to come in. So flysnties.com. I'll have a link in the description below. I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoy the video, and tie you some up. Thanks.